Welcome to the bar today with Alan and Betsy, and we're going to talk about that hot topic.
The market. What is happening out there in the world today? A lot of crazy things.
Yes, and please stop listening to people who are not in real estate, because you're killing me.
Work together, we play together.
So join us.
Let's have a great time.
I love it when I go into, a buyer consult or a listing, and they're like, my mom and dad said, your mom and dad sell windows, not real estate. Please stop listening to them.
Or, my friend's spouse, brother's cousin works in real estate. Well, yep, what's their name? Let me check my home snap. Oh, they sold two houses last year. So, yep, they're the ones to listen to.
Yep.
Here's what's happening. Let's talk about the market and what's really going out there. I've done this 35 years. By the way, that's longer than your friend that sold two houses has been alive. So let's talk a little bit about this. I've seen 4 markets up and down. And yes, this one's a little bit different, but the market is cyclical. It's always changing. Yes, we were very fortunate. It stayed up longer than it has before. Doesn't mean it's going to stay down longer. Doesn't mean it's going to crash harder. Everything always happens according to a lot of different factors in the world. The last crash, yes, real estate caused it. It was a big factor. The banks caused it. Real estate caused it. That's not what's going on right now.
Right, and let's talk about that, because I was just talking to one of my clients, and guess what? They didn't even know why the market crashed before, which to me is insane, but that's okay, because here's the thing. A lot of people don't, especially people in their early 30s. They don't know why the market crashed, because guess what?
They weren't in it.
Right. And so I was sitting there talking to her, and we were sitting there literally at a bar, not at a real bar.
Not our bar.
No, in a house. And I was talking to her, and I said, look, girl, do you even know why the market crashed before? I mean, we're sitting here, we're buying an $800,000 house. I mean, because they're scared, and people are scared right now. I mean, people are paying 6%, 6.5% interest rates when they're looking at conventional loans, even 7%. They're scared. We're back to that market where people are paying, $50,000 over guaranteed appraisals, 7 offers. It's crazy, and they're paying 7% interest rates before people were paying 2.5%, 3%. What the heck did they care, right? But now, guess what? With their paying 7%, they're freaking scared.
Right.
So with her, I had to have that conversation, because if they listen to Mary Jo's uncle's brother's cousin that sold one house last year, they're going, oh, you should wait. Because they're not using them. So that person's not getting the deal anyway, because they're using somebody who's experienced, because they want to make sure they're getting the best deal. And that was her case. She was literally being told by somebody else that she should wait. And I said, wait for what? I mean, we're not having a crash. I mean, if you listen to every chief economist out there, every one of them is saying that we are going to continue to have the 5 to 7% rise up, that we are not foreseeing that crash coming. And that last crash was caused by that.
Yeah. The last time what had happened is the banks knew that they only made money when they were lending money, and they were lending money to people they shouldn't have been lending money to. And so everybody was giving money to anybody that wanted it at any time they wanted, any amount they wanted. Well, after 2008, all these checks and balances came into place. All these checks and balances with the appraisal system, all these checks and balances with the lending system, all of those checks and balances are in place, and they're not going anywhere. So because of that, they're not lending more than they should lend. So now when the houses are going up in price, guess what? The buyers are putting cash in
Right.
over and above the appraised amount.
And we're not doing those no interest. I mean, interest only. Interest only. Remember that. Those
Yeah.
interest only loans were huge back then. Because look, people, if you actually look at the equity we have in our homes right now, people have more equity than they've ever seen in life. And back then, there was no equity in homes. The foreclosures were through the roof. The short sales were through the roof. We have none of that right now.
And now we are so far behind in inventory. New construction is years and years behind in inventory. So guess what? We're not coming out of the inventory crisis in many of the markets we have. Now, have some of the markets started to go down? Of course they have. Not in Hampton Roads. In Hampton Roads, coastal Virginia, coastal North Carolina, we still lack inventory. We're not these major cities that have crashed because they went up 40% a year. You see, our market here is balanced more than many of the others, and it's because such a large portion of our market is military and government based. We have not quite as high a peaks, but we don't have as far a falls. And because of that, we still lack inventory. We lack inventory, and guess what? We have more buyers than we have sellers. And because of that, the prices haven't crashed like they have in some of the markets. We don't see them crashing. The buyers are accepting the higher interest rates. We lack inventory, and the big reason is the sellers haven't accepted the higher interest rates yet. Meaning, over the past few years, the sellers that refinance their houses that have 2 to 3% interest rates, they haven't accepted the optional moves to go and buy houses at 6 and 7%.
Right.
So that's the problem in our market right now. Until it equalizes, which what that means is until enough buyers are able to buy houses at the 5, 6, and 7% rates, then we're going to lack inventory. Eventually, there will be enough people out there with the higher interest rates that will have inventory coming back on the market. But it's going to take time.
And by the way, just because it cracks me up, 6 and 7% is a phenomenal interest rate.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Oh my gosh. I remember when I bought my first house in 2000, and it was
still a baby.
And I am a baby. It was 8.5%, and I bought it down to 7.5%, and I thought I was just amazing. And y'all are crying over 7%.
When I bought my first house, it was 12.25% VA. And when I started in real estate, it was 12.5%. So,
but hold on. When you sold it,
yes, I sold it with a VA assumption because rates had gone to 14.5%. So my 12.25 looked really good.
Which is hilarious to you.
So they assumed my 12.25 because it was a great rate. Think about that.
So if I was sitting there thinking about selling, I definitely would. We have so many buyers that have flooded the market, and we just have zero inventory. Now, I'm going to tell you what, if you've got to sell and you need to buy, it has definitely never been a better time. Because what I'm doing right now with my sellers is I'm able to put their house on the market, get them a buyer, and allow them to actually have possession of their house until they find another house. And I've done that on every single solitary one of mine right now. As a matter of fact, I think I just got somebody 45 days or 60 days possession on the other end until they found a house. It is nothing like what you're getting right now.
We are
crazy.
not going to make you homeless. We promise. We're not going to sell your house and not have you a house to buy. Again, like she said, right now, you're going to have the most value in getting your house to get it on the market and get it sold. We never know what's going to happen to interest rates. If the rates were to go up again, the buyers are going to get nervous again. If you put your house on the market now, we know what the demand is right now. The demand, it's like it was a year or so ago. We're seeing multiple offers. We're seeing some offers come in above the list price. We're seeing appraisals still come in high. That's what we need to have. If you want to sell your house, now's the time.
Oh, it's definitely the time.
And as we go into the summer, we know what happens in the summer. More people try to move. What happens then? We get more inventory, which means you run into more competition. Now, less competition. We just need the inventory now. So if you want less competition, beat the competition to the market. Come on before the big summer rush.
Absolutely.